Today, let's discuss how do we build a client risk profile through a collaborative discovery. Now, we know that the high net worth clients, collaborative is critically important. They no longer look for us to dictate to them the answers of what we think they should do. We have to incorporate them into our process. So this entire presentation is about one thing and one thing only. How can we act collaboratively? I am not telling you this is the way you do a discovery. I am only suggesting that you adopt different strategies to include the high net worth client in the building of their client risk profile and then their portfolio, which we will do in another video. So first is, what is your client risk profile? Is it one thing? And I disagree that it's one thing. We're trying to accomplish multiple things as a human being. We have to send our children to school. We want to buy a home. We want to retire. We may want to buy a boat. It doesn't matter. There is not one risk profile for every single person. There are multiple risk profiles. Our job is to understand them and develop them with the prospect so that they will become a client. So we only have one process. And the second thing is we have to do discovery. So once your networks set you up with somebody, now you're going to meet them. They're basically strangers to you. Whatever you said in your email or speaking to them, they decide to speak to you. That's where we're at. We don't know them and they really don't know us. They may have looked you up or whatever, but now's the time when we make them a client, that we collaborate with them. We're not dictating to them. And I want to point out here that the first two things that we have to do to be successful is we have to be able to communicate effectively. This is critical. So think about it. You go through all your networking, all the ways that you can get a prospect. Go through the discovery meeting before we have anything where we're doing wealth planning. Anything. So become an effective communicator first. Okay? As a financial advisor, this is how I look at us over the next 10 years. We're brokers. I was a broker. Okay. And now we're financial advisors. When you tell me that we're wealth advisors, I work with over 500. I know thousands of wealth advisors or financial advisors. I would say very, very, very few are wealth advisors. And working with the big firms, they have asked me, how many wealth advisors do I think they had? And I said, well, you tell me first. And they were like, no, you tell us first. And I said, well, I think you have about 250 to 500 in a 15,000 person sales force. And they said, well, we think we have around 3,500. And I said, what makes you think you have 3,500? And I said, well, we have that many CFPs. Well, I have brand new brokers in the business who have a CFP, which I would take no financial advice from. And yet I have FAs who do not have a CFP, which are brilliant at doing wealth planning. So I don't know if that's the best way. I'm looking at skill sets, and this is what this is. These are not titles. I have changed them to skill sets. This is your skill set. When you're a wealth advisor, you can do discovery, trust and estates. You have designation. You work with your centers of expertise and other FAs, and you have a CRM. When we decide what is in the client's best interest, is to understand them so well by them telling us what they want and need, that we can then suggest pass forward that they can then take. Remember, it's our job is to assist the client in making the best decision for themselves. It is not for us to make the decision at all. Okay? Now, this was actually from a firm, and this is how they say that you should go out and ask all these questions. Sit down with this stranger that you just met and ask them all these questions. And when you get all these highly personal question answers, then you can then go away and build your wealth strategy for this client. There's several issues I have with this. One, these are highly personal questions. And my experience with FAs is they don't even do this. What do? They send out email out all these questions. They please answer these questions and send back. That is not developing a relationship with a prospect so they'll become a client. They're not. So I want you to understand, do we need all this information? Yes, absolutely. But the question is what's the best way to acquire this information? I believe that you start the discussion with your prospect and say, hey, listen, look, just academically, there are three buckets that people look at. Liquidity, longevity, and legacy, right? Legacy is retirement, leave it on to your children. Longevity is how do you spend your money over your entire lifetime, and retirement. And liquidity, how much of your money you keep liquid, okay? So you can suggest to the prospect different needs and goals that they could say to you, right? Everyone needs liquidity, right? So it doesn't matter how much money they have. The question is what do they believe in their minds is the liquidity, all right? So I suggest you bring one piece of paper with you. That's it. That's all you need. So on one side, you ask them and you say, what are your needs and goals? You suggested them. So liquidity is a great place to start. Let's say the person has $5 million. They believe that they should have 750,000 liquid. What do you say? Great. If they believe they need it, then you just put it in there, because notice what we're doing here. We're saying, what is the risk? How much time do I have to accomplish what I want to accomplish, the need or the goal? And then, more importantly, ask them, how much money, how much capital are you willing to commit to this particular need or goal? All right. And so what you develop is them telling you what they think is important to them, what their needs and goals are. Did you suggest some of these things? Absolutely. Let's say they say, I want to buy a boat. Well, how much money do you want to put towards that? Well, my wife doesn't want a boat. She says it's too expensive. You have to earn my way. Well, how much do you want to spend for the boat? He says, look, I just want a little runner, maybe $50,000. Well, how much money, capital, can you commit to that? 5,000. Other than that, my wife will say no. Right? So you say, fine, $5,000. It's not for you to decide. They decide. They tell you. Okay. Once you have all that, you can go away now and you can sit there and you can say, here's all your portfolios. And you can have a risk profile for each portfolio. Now, the liquidity, what's the risk profile? It should be very, very low. If anything, I'm in a treasury money market fund. I'm rolling CDs. It doesn't matter. It's liquidity, right? And so you put them all together and then you use the aggregation software. It's reverse aggregation. We're aggregating all the risk portfolios into one portfolio to understand what is the overall risk portfolio, risk profile for the client. And then you can ask them, hey, is this too risky for you? Maybe we should change this or change this. It doesn't matter. Let them make the decision. So they have told you what their needs and goals are, how much capital they're willing to commit to it, what time frame they have for it, and what risk they want to take with it. What else do you need? Right? Now, I want to say one thing here. Imagine it, we're FAs, right? So let's say I'm the client. We have 5 FAs here, 5. And the client comes in and it meets with each one of the 5 FAs. Meet the way you meet the way I meet. Okay? Everyone goes away and they build their portfolio. Now, we have a second part to this. We have a collaborative process to build a portfolio, which we will go over in the next video. But the point is this. When the 5 FAs come back and they all present what they think the client should do to reach all their needs and goals, you can have 4 FAs who make it up. And you can have 1 FA who presents, here's all your needs and goals. This is how we're going to meet them. So when a client sits in front of the 5 people, are they going to pick the empirically correct portfolio? The answer is no. There is no empirically correct portfolio. It does not exist. It will never exist. It has never existed. Okay? The biggest difference from what I suggested and what you do is that you build one balanced portfolio for all the needs and goals of your clients, right? And I can tell you, I was there. When we decided to back the balanced portfolio, it was for one reason and one reason only, is because we knew that the FAs were not trained yet to being portfolios managers. And so what we did, we said, was what will get us sued the least amount of times? Balanced portfolio. That's why we have balanced portfolios. Okay? So when you want to speak to somebody, talk to them. Sit down with them. One piece of paper, one side, you write the other, flip it over, write the rest. That's it. Then you say, I'll come back at you. Let's meet again and let's go over how to build each individual portfolio. Now look at, we work with all this stuff. I focus with you on your process. We want to master the 7 touch points with our clients. That's it. If you can master those 7 touch points with your client, you will be highly successful. Highly successful. Don't concentrate on investments. Concentrate on your clients. Thank you very much.